Well, it's like deja vu all over again. Accidental airstrike. The government is calling it. The military saying, well, we did this with precision. And we're sure that those who were targeted are linked to the Lacroix group. But an investigation will be conducted. Now, what does this do to the fight against banditry, terrorism? What does this do to the military-civilian relationship? How does this affect security in Nigeria and, of course, in the sub-region? I mean, it's a whole lot to unpack, and these are very delicate issues. So on the show this morning, we're bringing you Informed Decision. We're joined by Brigadier General Jonathan Temlong, who's first commander of a multinational joint task force, MNJTF, expert in counterinsurgency operations. Welcome to the Morning Brief, retired Brigadier General Temlong. We also have joining us Mr. Awal Rafsanjani, who's Executive Director of CISLAC. CISLAC is a Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, also joining us virtually. Welcome to the Morning Brief. And we have Abdul Karim Haruna, who is a conflict reporter with first-hand knowledge of terrorism and military engagement in northern Nigeria. As a chairman of NUJ Borno State and conflict reporter, Northeast region. You're welcome to the Morning Brief, Mr. Haruna. Naturally, I'll begin with you, Brigadier General Temlong. I know that you've been on the field, you've been in command center, and now watching what is playing out. We had this exactly 1 year ago, but we didn't have this controversy. The military saying, well, we are certain that this was precise, and the community leaders, government saying, no, the people who were killed, some of them were actually villagers. What do you make of the narrative from, will I say, both sides now, Brigadier General?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. Your audio is not very clear, but because I'm speaking in one of the remote in my village in Peel for Christmas, it's quite unfortunate that this sort of killings keep going on, and my heart goes out to the families of those who are lost. But basically, I think the most important thing is that there is the intelligence that we have is not quite adequate, because if you just see before Christmas, there were killings in Georgia and Borno, and all over the country. It seems that these people are taking advantage of the fact that we have an open community, and the citizens are not up and doing exposing them, because they live within us, and they take intelligence and know our movements and how lax we are. The citizens do not seem to be passing information to the appropriate authority where you can actually deal with those actionable things. Fortunately, yesterday I talked to our lawyers, the Tarok Lawyers Forum, on community security and early warning systems that can be put in place. And an early warning system will be meaningless if it cannot monitor, detect, and communicate to the appropriate authorities and even to the citizens. And so it appears as if we are yet to get our acts together as a country on community security and early warning systems. And once we're able to do that, once we're able to monitor our citizens, not even as while the traditional military and the DSS police, NIA are monitoring and detecting too. The citizens are the most important aspect, part of it, that they monitor, detect, and report. And once they report, these are turned into actionable intelligence, and we nip some of these things in the bud. It's quite unfortunate that day in, day out, they keep surprising us, and sometimes even the armed forces and the security agencies are surprised too by the spread of attack that they do, because if you find out that they do some of these raids, there's a lot of secrecy and surprise that is achieved. I believe that if we up our games in the intelligence, and that behoves on the Directorate of State Security,
Right.
the civil defense, and the rest of train and build the capacity of our citizens on security awareness, early warning systems, detection,
Pardon me, Brigadier
and building a
General. I need to.
community that is resilient.
Right. Pardon me, Brigadier General. I need to quickly get your intervention on this point.
Beg
You've
your
raised quite a
pardon, you are
number of
not.
issues. If you can hear me, Brigadier General, speak to us about the kind of rigor planning that goes into whatever mission that the military wants to conduct, either air, water, or land. Just how much rigor goes into it? Give the people a benefit of, an insight into that.
Well, a lot of rigor goes into planning in military operations and military operations. If a commander has not got accurate and actionable intelligence about what he's doing, he's like a blind man walking in a forest trying to search for a pin. And that's exactly what it is. So it's especially the asymmetric operations, it's intelligence based. And so the rigors of intelligence and planning, or the quantum of intelligence that you need in planning cannot be overemphasized. And that intelligence must be actionable. It's not that you cited people or you believe was rumors. You know, these beer parlor rumors that they go about. So, there will be imminent attack this Christmas and the rest. Yes, if there's going to be an attack in this Christmas, where do you think they are coming from? What sort of people are coming? What their strength? What sort of equipment are they using? What are the likely routes they are going to take? These are the things that happen. With that, then the security agencies that are trained in analyzing this information and making them into intelligence, because intelligence itself is a process, it's a cycle. So information is different from intelligence. It has to be processed into intelligence. So it's quite a big rigor. And that means the community too will be engaged, because it's supposed to be bottom up. And so even the community should be involved in the rigors of planning, because sometimes not that you divulge your secret to them, but they should be able to be coming up and giving. And then once you are able to build a community that is resilient, they know what actions to take immediately they see or they notice some early warning signs and red flags that are coming in.
All right, Brigadier
and with
General,
that, they are able to.
Pardon me. Thank you for that
Yes.
insight. Thank you for that insight. I'll come back to some of the points you have made, but I'd like to bring in Mr. Rafsanjani here. He's from the civil society, and he's raised issues, organizations like his have raised issues about the conduct of some of these operations. So, Mr. Rafsanjani, this is what the CDS said, that we have individuals that still harbor those people, and once you do that, you make yourself a target. Our appeal is, please do not allow them hang around you. Do not give them any support in whatever means. And he went on to say that there was a lot of planning and precision in this particular one. It's an operation that was conducted, and they followed up to ensure that they avoided mistakes as much as possible. So hearing the military's point of view, what do you make of that?
I think one of the major problems that we have in Nigeria is that rather than really facing the challenges or the issues, we kind of do blame games. The reality is that we have a major problems that has to do with the collapse of institutions in Nigeria. And sadly, it involves the security agencies. The absence of information sharing, coordination, and also taking decisive action, and more importantly, to actually put priority for protecting the citizens rather than looking at the gains, rather than looking at the ways in which you can actually focus to achieve the objective of safety and protection. So you find out that right from the beginning, the recruitment process is faulty. It's shrouded with, corruption. People that are not even supposed to be recruited, they are recruited, and when they are recruited, not much, proper training is given to them. So these are all contributed to the failure of proper coordination within the security agencies. It also helps to remove the real patriotism of security, securing the country and the people. Otherwise, these people that you are talking about, that communities are harboring, these are people that are not necessarily living inside the community. They are even not living within the community. They migrate, they come, to those communities. So the communities are even, many of them are afraid, and they sow them visibly. Usually they will come in, machine. But because the security themselves of institutional strength and facilities and equipment, so they will allow them to have their day. Otherwise, they move freely, and nobody is, detecting them, or nobody is dealing with them. Look, we have moved away in this world. We have moved away from analog security in this world. There is a technology going on where you can even sit down and through situation room that you can be able to monitor and navigate the movement, of some of these people. But because the interest is not really about protecting, the people now. It is about, either what I get out of it, either because agencies are struggling to say, okay, I'm the one who is going to charge of it because there's a money involved in it. That's the truth about it, So corruption in the security sector, poor, cooperation and coordination, poor information sharing, and more importantly, also prioritizing the safety and security of the people. These are the major reasons why you keep on having this problem. I think, again, really where these problems are happening are people who simply don't even know their right. It happens usually in the north, and of course in the north it's easy to kill people and just move on without having any.
All right, Mr. Rafsanjani, we hope that
this happens. You just and then move on. If you are lucky, you apologize. If you are not lucky, sometimes you will not even apologize. You will continue to do blame game. Otherwise, you cannot have police, DSS, NIA. You cannot have all these security officers that are supposed to be able to gather information, process it intelligently, and make sure that you do not go and bombard those who you are not supposed to bombard. When we were growing, we know how SSS used to penetrate into various public institutions, and they are able to penetrate into universities, into hospitals, into so many places, and be able to identify and carry out operations successfully, because they did not just go to announce that they are coming. In the case of Nigeria, sometimes you hear officials are announcing that we are going there, or we are going to crush them. I think we need to do a lot in terms of the way and manner in which we structure our intelligence, gathering and action. And I don't think you are even applying any intelligence now in Nigeria. I think, it is just, operation that is going on without really too much investment in terms of strategic, focus on where you are going to carry out this action. Otherwise, you should be able to isolate the people that you are targeting through even technology. You can even sit down. There's a lot of technology now that you can sit down and navigate where they are.
All right. And that is the expectation.
Satellite.
Yeah, Mr. Rafsanjani, that is the expectation really from the Nigerian military, particularly because this is happening time and again. We remember Ran and Tudumbiri, and now it's Silma local government area in Sokoto State. Let's look at the community now this time, because the word is out there that these communities are known to be prone to infiltration of bandits. But how true is it? And that's why I'm coming to you, Mr. Haruna. What can you tell us from your own experience as a conflict reporter about these communities? Is it true, that they have been infiltrated by bandits? And then what else can you say, about the presence of other security agents in these communities, in this local government area? Is there a police station nearby to help us understand how much intelligence sharing may have gone in the process of this mission or not have gone in the process of this mission, and what civil-military relations is like, such that the people would rather not trust the military with information and harbor bandits?
Good morning. Thank you very much. But having listened to the two my guests that have spoken earlier, I want to, of course, they've made their points. But in my own experience as a journalist.
All right, I'll come to you, Brigadier Temlong. Perhaps you have insight into that as well. Maybe you want to speak to that.
Well, thank you very much. I think let me correct some factual this thing about what Rafsanjani has said. I know Awal very well, who at the national conference with him in 2017. I think it's preposterous to say that there is no cooperation between the services. When we talk about intelligence itself, the whole thing is that it is the community. What you are dealing with is not like sitting down in a classroom and throwing out a blame game in your office or in the confines of your homes. Intelligence comes out from a product and a process. The citizens are greatly involved in this intelligence process and making them available. There's a difference between human intelligence and technology. Technology can spot the movement of people to you, but they will not be able to tell you who are moving. Technology can spot Rafsanjani in his village or in his house. It can spot Temlong, but it will not tell you who is Temlong and who is Rafsanjani. It is the human intelligence that will tell you that it is Rafsanjani and these are his plans and this is what he's doing from his observations and movements and the rest. So the critical aspect of getting human intelligence whose evolved emanates from the citizens themselves is very critical. Where you have citizens who collaborate, and that's very unfortunate because how did the Lakurawas come into Nigeria? They were brought in by the chief of a place. So you cannot come and then blame the police. Yes, please.
Yes, Brigadier Temlong, even if technology is only able to identify people without much, without telling whether they're terrorists or not, if this is an accident, it speaks also to the low level of civil-military relations in the community. If there's a division, an army division on ground, combating terrorism in that community, to what extent are they relating with the community members such that they can gain the trust of the community members if indeed they are harboring terrorists, and provide the military with the information? And it also speaks to the question I asked Mr. Haruna about the presence of other security agencies on ground as well. What is happening to intelligence sharing in that space? Because this is happening too often.
Unfortunately, when you say there's a division in that area, a division is not deployed. This is not a conventional operation where a division is deployed on the ground attacking. No, this is an asymmetric threat where you have pockets of threats in communities. So it's not a divisional operation like you say, but these are operations that are being carried out by small elements of the military. So the idea of civil military, yes, there are, but then to what extent the society itself, it's not just the DSS and the police, but the society itself. Once it is a connivance of the society, and the society has gone to bring in people, the chief of a place or the traditional ruler of a place has gone to bring in people to help them, they will not revolt against him. To what extent do you think the loyalty is? When you talk about citizenship and loyalty in this country, you find out that there are some people who are more loyal to their tribes and religions than the country. Patriotism is not even there. So you can't blame civil military or you can't blame the intelligence community. Let's start building a country of citizens who are patriotic and loyal to the country, not to their religion, not to their tribes, not to their rulers and the rest, but to the country as a whole. That you swear by the Constitution that you will defend that Constitution. So I think the blame game should, we're trying to build resilient communities. In my place, I've started as a place, like I told you yesterday, we had engagements with our lawyers trying to build a resilient community, a community that can work on early warning systems, working on their own community security system. We did that again with traditional rulers this month. We did that with traditional rulers, with church leaders, with youth groups, with women groups, and the rest. These were done by, headed by a reverend gentleman who was an NGO, and he brought me in to help in building this capacity. So everybody should start doing this, because once you cannot, and why are they taking advantage? He says that the people there are not literate or sort of thing. Yes.
All right.
Are we not happy that our children are out of school?
All right, Brigadier Temlong, there's so many.
Build a body of Almajiris who come.
Yes, so there are many factors that go into building resilient communities, and on the matter of the connivance, of members of the community with terrorists, that also has to be established by an independent panel of investigators. But let's try again with Mr. Haruna and see if his network is okay now. Mr. Haruna, go ahead with your answer to the question about the community, how probable it is that it's one that harbors terrorists.
Well, these terrorists do not live off the land, my dear.
I believe
they live on the communities.
Mr. Haruna, the question is for you. Pardon me, Brigadier Temlong. Oh, well, technology is not always a silver bullet. We'll try this again with you, Mr. Haruna, later, but we'll just have to go ahead with Brigadier Temlong now.
Okay.
Yeah, you see, these communities, these terrorists or the bandits, they don't live off the ground. They live off the communities. They buy the fuel for their machines from the communities. They buy food from the communities. They buy medicine from the communities. Sometimes they even use doctors. I think you don't need an independent body to verify this. You remember there was a German lady that was kidnapped around Gusau and the rest, and there was a doctor who was being brought in from Kaduna, who, when she was pregnant, to be checking her. Is that not the community? We have had bakeries that were solely providing bread for bandits in Nigeria here. And the people are happy. And I'll give you an example. I've done that, and it has worked. You see, we had a situation where I told them that how can a market woman, in the communities, they know themselves. Somebody walks in and buys the whole of her akara that she has made that morning. Her customers have not come. He buys the whole of her cocoa, which is like a camu, and carries it away. He is not living in that community. Why is he taking them to? He comes and buys bread for over 50 people, and then they shy and moves away. The man there is happy that, or the woman is happy that she has sold her wares. But those things are being taken to people who are in the bush, who will come back to attack them. Then there are those who come back and buy drugs, and they have their suppliers, and they know they're taking them to. So you see, when I did that talk on TV one time, a community came back to thank me that, look, that at Baraban Jama in Jos area too, they had that situation. Some people used to come and buy food in bulk, and they were not part of those community. And so they became curious, and lo and behold, they were taking food to bandits. Mm. And so it led to a security operation that busted the place. So I think we need to be able to look.
Well, I think that...
accept that we have real challenges.
Right.
That we have.
Right. Pardon me, Brigadier General, quite an insight, really, you just gave. But it's also been said that some of these people are as much victims, really. Some of them, they wish they could speak, but they've seen the case of other communities that spoke out or shared intelligence, and they became, casualties eventually. So it's a delicate balance, ensuring that these people are also protected, because some of them, as I said, are victims. Well, let me see if we can get Mr. Rafsanjani on this one, but quite vital insight there, Brigadier General. So, Mr. Rafsanjani, Brigadier General raised issues about some of the points you made earlier on, saying, well, it's one thing to be, kilometers away in your office and speak about these things. It's another thing to be right in it, to have that understanding of what's playing out. And he's also said that a lot of these communities may just be complicit or do not ask those right questions or raise those issues. I wonder what your response will be to that, Mr. Rafsanjani.
Well, my response to this is that if we are all going to really do this analysis based on the facts on the ground, we all know how corruption has penetrated into the security sector. Look, General, you are very much aware of the extortion that you see going on in the various communities. In fact, you can see even in the Northeast, the various checkpoints that you have are not to checkmate the criminals or the bandit or the terrorists. They are to extort money. Look, various communities, even in the Southeast, all the checkpoints, in fact, shamelessly, even in Abuja now, from one place to another, you will see about 7 checkpoints. What are they taking? Nothing but collecting money. So both the army that used to be respected by the people and people are afraid of them, now they have joined this extortion of 50 naira, 100 naira, and they are not searching anything. All that they will do, just pay your money and move. So they don't care what you are even carrying in the in your vehicles or in the machine or in whatever thing you are doing. They are just desperately wanting to collect this money, especially, for example, this kind of period of Christmas and New Year. The level of semi-robbery that some of the security officials are doing in this country allows these criminals to move freely with whatever they carry, once they will give the money. So I think, General, we also need to understand that there's limit at which the communities will expose this thing, and if they do that and the security did not give positive response to it, and rather they get attacked, you will then not blame them that for their safety, they will not be able to talk. And the kind of people we are talking about, General, they are not these peasants. These are people who, come in 200, 300 machines and, so where are the officials? Where are the intelligent when this kind of large movement is happening in communities? They are coming and they do this and they get away with it. And they are not hiding. So the real people that, we are talking about are people who they have chosen to do this in a very unified way, not in a scattered or not in an unorganized way. They are very organized. When they come to do this operation, they do it successfully and they move out. And it is after they have done their operation, then the security will now come out. So let us admit that we have institutional failure in dealing with the insecurity and terrorism in Nigeria. And until we have that, acknowledgement, we might not be able to, correct some of the things that are happening. If it is just to be blaming these poor people who have been attacked, who are under perpetual attack. For example, in Katsina, in Zamfara, and many places, even when they have come to kill them, massacre them, when they report, they also get the terrorists, they got information who reported, and they come against them. So the attack, the people that are doing this are people who have no fear of God. They are people who are not interested in anything rather than just to carry out these perpetual inhuman atrocities against the people in Nigeria. They are not necessarily resident in those places. They come for mission and they do their whatever they want to do. They settle in a place for a particular period of time, and the security are not able to even near where those people are. And the point we are talking about here is that until we are not ready to address this problem, it's not even for the bombardment that we are talking about, for the fact that as a trained security personnel, you should be able to develop strategy in which you can be in a community that you can disguise. I gave an example. When we were students in the university, we did not know some of the SSS people following us around. It was much later that we were able to know that this person is but now there's so much impatience even within the security agencies. Everyone is just looking for money. Let us just say the truth. Corruption, and the capital accumulation within the security sector is one of the major reasons why they are not able to concentrate and do their work. Secondly, regime protection and personal official protection rather than the citizens' protection is what is the prevailing thing. How many, if you look at the kind of security that you have for an individual's official or for somebody that bought his own security from the government using public taxpayers' money to be guiding him alone. I give you an example. In Kano, there's somebody who, if you go and see his resident, he has over between 30 to 40 between policemen and army and DSS guarding him. Whereas you need communities to have this security presence there. They are not prioritizing it. So prioritization of even the citizens' safety is not, in most times, is not what is there. So it is overall an issue that we should all look at.
Yeah, let's give Brigadier Temlong the opportunity to respond to some of the things that you have said. He's talked about institutional failings in the military. He's talked about, the inefficacies of the checkpoints, where, what goes on is more of extortion. He talks about the inability of the military to even go to the locations where some of the terrorists are, talking about the reactive rather than proactive approach of the military, amongst other things that you may want to talk about, Brigadier.
Well, thank you very much. I think he is a comrade, so he can say those things. I think it will be an overstatement to say that there is an institutional, failure on the side of the military. It's not a military policy as a policy that encourages men to extort or to this thing. Anybody, this military is self-cleansing. I'll tell you, because any report that is made about any soldier officer who is extorting money on checkpoints or anywhere, he is dealt with squarely. In fact, there were some that I was here on a weekend and I had some reports of some of them doing some illegal duties somewhere. And immediately I put a call across to the commander, and within 10 minutes, he had called me that they have apprehended them. And I tell you, they were being court-martialed because they found out that they were culpable of the illegal act. So that is the military that it is for you. It's not hidden. It's not because it is the community that reported to me. They found out that I was born for Christmas. So I think it's never an institutional thing. When you talk about corruption is all over. I wouldn't want to give you the Hausa adage that said, "Imberana the Sata, the Dawamana the Wari." It's all over the place that the corruption is an endemic thing in the society. And the Nigerians that from where you are picking the military or the DSS chaps are Nigerians, and those who have certain values. That's why I say we must start this thing bottom up. Right. It is the politicians that actually bring in the people that you say they are not qualified. The chairman of the various committees in the House, Senate, they are politicians, they are civilians they influence a lot of these things, but I know that the military do a lot of rigors too in trying to check to make sure they're there, but there's so much pressure. So I think the issue of corruption is not something that is a policy of the military. Is not tolerated, and that. But I think one important thing to note is that, look, when you talk about this, there are cases, and I'll tell you because it's an open secret. Once the military leaves their location and they're driving towards a location that they have information that terrorists have gathered around that place, they are telephoning the terrorists at that moment. In fact, sometimes with the video photographs of the quantity, quality, and the type of armaments that they are moving on with. What do you think some of these ambushes that they are doing succeeds in, on the way when military are going? So I think let's look at these things. These are our boys, and you are dealing with an asymmetric threat. These people are not. Look, how many of the terrorists are not Nigerians? They are Nigerians. Let's face it. Even in the casino you're talking about, they know their homes, they know their relations. Is it not the same casino area that they said that the people went, I saw it on the social media, that they went on, when they kidnapped certain people, they went and kidnapped their families too. And the terrorists were forced, the bandits were forced to return those people. So it's all over. Once the community decides to say enough is enough, whatever it is, it will be enough. So I think the problem is that we must be able to get people who are patriotic.
Well, Brigadier General, we have to anchor at this point, but very important points have been made about the work that needs to be done, definitely to improve the work that the military does to, weed out some of these corrupt elements whom you agree with, but you say it's not institutional, ultimately to ensure that this fight against banditry, terrorism, keeps waxing stronger rather than, wane. But we have to thank you so much for the benefit of your insight. Brigadier General Jonathan Temlong, retired first commander of a multinational joint task force, so he brings to bear a lot of experience, also an expert in counterinsurgency operations in Nigeria, as well as the executive director of CISLAC, Mr. Awal Rafsanjani. Thank you so much. We also had briefly Mr. Abdul Karim Haruna, conflict reporter, chairman NUJ, Borno State. We'll have to thank you so much for your time and wish you the very best during the Yuletide and in the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We wish Nigerians the same too.